What's your relationship to the show now?
I can't watch it again.
I can't.
Saw it once, never again.
Yeah.
Just wanted to up the ante a bit. It's a survival show.
Honestly, like when I hear about it, I get a little. She does.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was going through all of that, I had a lot of layers of protection for myself. And so it was confusing, but also familiar.
After we're
It was
like
rough.
intense.
You have to create that drama.
In 2023, dozens of girls from around the world were chosen to chase their biggest dream of their lives, becoming global idols under HYBE and Geffen. They trained, sang, danced, and smiled, and it was all believing that it was preparation for being in a global group. What they didn't know was that their dream was built on a lie. Hi, my name is Maki. Welcome back to my channel. So let's start with this analysis. Let's say everything that was public about the Dream Academy and the group that is now existing called Katseye. Let's see the manipulation techniques that they use to do this program, how it can affect the girls, what are the comments of the current girls nowadays, and Manon's behavior, among other things. But I would like to emphasize about Manon's behavior because I've seen that is something that people talk a lot, and I have my own perspective about it. So if you want to see all that, keep watching. Chapter 1. The Dream, the Lie, and the Show Reveal. When the casting began, it wasn't called a survival show. Even one of the girls that was training talked like, oh, this is not a survival show, right? And they were like, no, no. But they were lying.
This isn't a survival show, right? And they were like, no.
Because this was all framed as a training program. A bridge between cultures, the K-pop and the West. And it was built on collaboration and creativity. That was the idea, right? So these girls left their homes. They carried their dreams. And they came with all that. And let's clarify that most of these girls were minors. So it's easier to manipulate a little girl. Well, a girl underage. They trained for a single year before the camera started like rolling the Dream Academy, like the training program. They bond, they cry, they build routines together, they lived together, and they felt like a team, especially at such a young age. But piece by piece, that truth started showing. But it was never direct. It was never honest. They were doing it on purpose. It started with like being strong, like normally how they are on this type of programs. They try to be as hard as possible because they want the girls to do their maximum and they train and blah blah blah. So they start with that type of things. They start asking questions, recording the girls, talking about the dreams, like interviews, everything, kind of normal. And suddenly they start adding more girls. They were not talking about it, and they were just like, okay, now survival show, so easy. And this is how manipulation works. For me, it was like so obvious why they did it in this way. Because you cannot break the trust of someone at once. You cannot tell these girls, oh, it's a survival show directly, because no one is going to accept, or most girls are not going to accept. You need to tell them little by little, thing by thing, make them be on a group first, and then say like, oh, you know what, it's a survival show. So who wants to give up their dreams now? No one. That was pure manipulation. So at the end, this type of confusion can feel very normal. So let's talk about the manipulation techniques that this show used. Information control. That is withholding the fact that this competition was a survival show until these girls were really invested in it. So no one is going to leave. Gradual exposure. Introducing this type of language like they were using about survival show and everything until everyone was watching and they were already recording and planning everything. Emotionally conditioning. Rewarding this type of things like tears, humility, apologies, and focusing too much on the emotion of these girls because basically they were using this for marketing and bonding something with the audience. And group pressure. Emphasizing like we are all a family, we are all together in this, and then forcing them to compete and manipulate them to be against each other. You're going to see what I'm talking about. No, you're going to see it now. So I want to pin something on this part. They start putting these girls against each other, and it was really hard to watch. They asked something like, who would you be in a group? So these girls start choosing 5 girls more, okay? And everyone was choosing someone. But it was just 2 girls that they were never chosen by anyone. I think 1 or 2, I don't remember. But of course, these girls were hurt, right? And they were both out. So they told these girls, like, no one is going to know about your opinion. No one is going to watch it. Don't worry. It's just for us, for knowing. Pure lie. Because they use this girl's opinion to manipulate these girls and then saying, okay, you know what? At the end, we are going to use your opinion against all these girls. And they put it on the screen who was the least voted girl. Everyone was crying. Everyone felt guilty. But you know what? That's the narrative that the program wants to do, because at the end of the day, they were trying to blame the girls for not choosing the girl that was left behind. But it was not like that. You cannot choose everyone. That's how it works. And this program was doing it because they knew who was going to be voted out. That's my theory. They already knew the members, but they were just trying to make people think that we were choosing. Well, I was not, because I was not interested in this group until it was like out to the public. And 5, authority deception. Mentors of producing were pretending that decisions came from the public and not from them. But to be honest, they already knew it, and there were some clues about it. You're going to see it later. By the time they revealed it was a survival show, the girls were already living inside the house. They were living their dreams, they were having friendships, and their future careers were edited for entertainment. And for me, this is not training. This is more like a psychological entrapment, like a psychological trap disguised as opportunity. Chapter 2. Beauty, bias, and the market of faces. K-pop sells perfection, not just performance, but symmetry, tone, and proportions. K-pop is known for what they do. They don't seek for talents first. They seek for the kind of face that has this X factor. They were calling X factor? Or a star quality. Something like a star quality, I think. That is basically this type of people that you see and you are like, yeah. K-pop is known for searching for this type of girls or boys and then training them and putting them in a group. They seek for the type of face that can be branded. And on this show, it was very clear. One of the best trainees, the hardworking ones, the most talented ones, one of these girls, like, it was from Texas, I remember, it was put it down because of the public. And it was mainly because people didn't like how she looks. They said that she had, like, the eyes to separate, and because she said what's up y'all, or something like that, and, like, dumb things, okay, that is like type of first impression. But yeah, people were not happy because she was not the beauty standard. That's how I can describe it. And there was another girl that was suffering very harmful comments because she had fuller lips.
The huge lips. And I'm like, huge lips are part of my face.
Yeah, fuller lips. That's it. Okay, and the irony of this thing is brutal, because there was a show for global representation, for people coming from other countries and blah, blah, blah. And they were still facing criticism for being different. And this is what we call pretty privilege. This is the invisible force that seems that some girls are basically fated to debut, while others, well, they were just there for the narrative and for making some people compete against each other. And what it makes it worse is that some of these girls who didn't fit the visual mold became the emotional core of the story that they present on the Netflix show. So they were basically profiting with their pain. Okay, chapter 3. The truth behind Manon's behavior. Manon's story divided people. To some, she looked careless or disconnected, missing rehearsals, not showing emotion. But let's be real, what we saw is 5% of months and years of footage. That it was built by producers. Editing is a psychological weapon. It can turn shyness into arrogance, exhaustion into apathy, or fear into entitlement. The narrative painted Manon as the privileged one and pointed the girls against her. But she was privileged? Yeah. Who gave her the privilege? The girls? Manon gave herself the privilege? No. It was the producers. Like, it's too obvious. Like, don't hate the player, hate the game. But I do understand how Manon behaved badly. But I have my theory about why this happened. In my opinion, behind all this behavior, it was something more human about Manon. And this is called performance avoidance. When the fear of being bad makes you withdraw entirely. So the higher the standards and the people that you're competing against it, and you feel like maybe you're not going to make it, is the stronger the paralysis comes. So yes, her attitude probably was kind of bad and looked very bad on the screen. But that's on the program. That's how the rules were played. If people give her the opportunity and they continue giving them the opportunity, I mean, she took it in her way. And this is very sad because these girls, of course, they were mad because it was their dream and she was just not using the resources as they wanted to. But at the end, when she started having that confidence again, she overcome this paralysis and said sorry and did her best because she felt like she could be there. And I think that's something like very human. This is the sad part for me. These girls care about each other. But on the show, they put these moments of friction, like the juicy stuff. They were just like, oh, they hate Manon because Manon is privileged. But they were not showing why they hate Manon. The feeling, the frustration. And it was not how it should be presented, in my opinion. Chapter 4. Emotional engineer and audience addiction. The show's emotional rhythm was perfectly calculated. Breakdown. Every confession, every elimination. It was timed and built for the maximum impact. Why? Because emotions create dopamine and empathy strikes. When viewers cry with contestants, that it was my case. I cried with these girls. I was so sad for them. Even if I knew who the members was. I was so sad for them, like literally. And you feel the connection. And this is done on purpose. The brain confuses sympathy with participation on this type of situation. Producers know this. If you feel invested, you will keep watching. This is called emotional voyeurism. The consumption of real emotion for entertainment. The more they cry, the more we care, the more data and profit the show will make. That rhymes. But for the girls, that empathy was a trap. The pain wasn't just felt, it was monetized. Chapter 5. Daniela and the Psychology of Endurance. Daniela says something that broke me. I don't like survival shows, but I'm here now and I'm not going to quit. Let's see the clip by yourself.
I didn't love the idea of a survival show, but you're in it now, you're not gonna quit. I'll do anything to win at this point.
That line shows how the system works and why they did it in this way. You tell someone that they have worked long enough to give up, and suddenly exploitation feels like a way of loyalty. Daniela honestly exposed that cognitive dissonance, in my opinion, that it was happening inside every contestant. Knowing that something is wrong, that it wasn't as they promised you, and you're probably not okay with it, but you force yourself to endure it because walking away means losing everything that you have worked for. This is the psychology of endurance, the way K-pop trainees reframe suffering as dedication. Lexi, for example, one of my favorite contestants actually, because she's so sweet and she looks like so sweet and so kind, but she's so strong with her opinions, and I love that type of people. I love it so much.
It started obviously feeling more like a competition, but it just didn't align with my values, and that was a hard moment for me. And it actually, like, that whole situation just broke my heart.
She decided to leave the show, literally. to leave the dreams, leave the show immediately after they were saying that it was a survival show. And this doesn't mean that she's less dedicated. It means that the program didn't align with her values, and she is so fucking strong for doing that type of things. Not because they believe it, but because admitting it would mean breaking their own dreams. Chapter 5, The Illusion of Choice. When the voting system came out, the fans and the public and the audience in general felt powerful. They told people that the votes will decide the final lineup. But the truth is, producers mainly know which ones were going to stay. The girls weren't competing for survival. They were performing a pre-scripted role in an emotional play. One of the girls that is one of my favorite ones, I'm going to put some clips here in her last video because she is amazing. These people call her that she was better as a solo artist.
We see Adela as a solo artist. I think that was always something that we saw even in training and development with her. So when we saw the fan voting, we felt that they were seeing what we always knew.
So when fans voted her out, they were like, oh yeah, we saw that she was better as a solo artist. So why was she on the program? And it's very simple. The answer is very simple. She was on the program because they needed 20 people for having a survival show. But they knew that she was not meant to be for a group. Yeah, so it's very sad because the math mattered more than the merits. This is the illusion of democracy, giving the audience a voice while quietly trying to shift it toward a pre-decided result. It's a perfect